Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Mariah, and today I'm going to be finally doing my April wrap up. So last month I read, I think 11 books. And first I'm going to tell you all the things that were on my TBR last month that I did not get to. So those were Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, Caught by the Convicts, The Core of the Sun, False Witness, which I just read this month, and Project Hail Mary, which I'm also reading this month. So yeah, those were books that I had in my Tarot TBR video that I just didn't get to. And then as per usual, I'm going to start with books that I either DNF'd, hated, to the best. And then I started, but then if you watched my reading vlog when I went camping, I said I've been in such a bad physical reading slump. Like, I cannot force myself to read physically. I don't know what it is. So yeah, I started the first day of spring, which I cannot find. I don't know if there isn't an audiobook or I just can't find it. So I started the first day of spring physically. I really enjoy it. It really hooks you, but I just can't make myself sit down and actually read it. So haven't actually finished that. So now to the books that I actually started, and there were two that I did DNF. The first one was 2 Week Notice by Whitney G, I think. I read this on Kindle, and this was like, it was like a bad fanfic of 50 Shades of Grey. Like, this guy wanted to be Christian Grey so bad, but then he was also just a dick. Like, one of the lines in the book, in like the very beginning, he was like, I love waking up in the morning in New York and just seeing my name on all of the buildings. Like, whatever. Anyways, I could not get into that book at all. It was awful. And he was insufferable. And usually I don't mind reading about insufferable, specifically male characters, because they usually are. It was bad. Anyways, the second book that I DNF'd was The Paris Apartment. I DNF'd this at 50%. I've just realized Lucy Foley and me, we don't see eye to eye. I don't like her books. I just cannot. Why does she write her characters where they just don't talk to each other? Like, that is one thing in movies that piss me off, and I think it pisses me off even more in books. Like, this girl goes to her brother's apartment. He's expecting her. She's supposed to be staying with him. He's not there. So naturally, she's like, that's not right. You know, I would be asking questions about my brother. But it all started with the concierge. When she got to the apartment building, she was buzzing into the building, and the concierge was looking at the mirror, and she was like, I'm not letting her in because she doesn't look like she should be here. Like, that's your whole job. Your whole job is to let people into this building. Anyways, did not like it. People got mad because she was asking questions. Oh, hello. People got mad that she was asking questions about her brother. I didn't get it, so I DNF'd it. If you see a random cat tail, my cat has just decided to jump up on my lap and be cuddly, and usually this is not the cuddly one. Anyways, so the next book that I listened to was No Words by Meg Cabot. And this was a really cute book. This is about a woman writer who gets invited to this book festival on a remote island, but she doesn't want to go because her arch nemesis is there. This guy who has pretty much talked shit about her book, but they both talk shit about each other's books. So, yeah. Anyways, he said something in a press conference one time, like, smugly against her book, and she's hated him ever since. So she gets like $10,000 to go to this island, and it's a romance. Obviously, things happen with them too. It's a hate to love. It was cute, but the amount of times this grown woman, she is in her 30s, I believe it says. I don't care if you write children's books about cats. A 30-year-old grown woman is not going to walk around and in her day-to-day life say possum and perfect. Like, you're so possum. And that's perfect. And her ringtone was horrible. It was like this really loud, like, meow. We would not be friends. That was awful. Horrible. Okay, the next book I read was for one of the Spring Fling-A-Ween books, and it was a bit of a letdown, apparently. I mean, unfortunately, not apparently. And that is The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein. I really thought I was going to love this book. Everybody talked about it, and okay, let me preface this by saying I probably did not like this book because I've never read Frankenstein, or at least that I can remember. So I didn't love or like know the source material, you know, before going into this. So I didn't really have a horse in this race. I didn't realize it was YA before I started reading it, which also may attribute to the fact that why I didn't like it. I just feel like nothing happened. Like, I just feel like it was boring. It was just about Elizabeth Frankenstein, who was a little girl, and she was not homeless, but abused by her mother, and like really low class, and like they didn't have much, and her mom sold her to the Frankenstein family. And just to be I think, companion for Victor. I'm sorry, it's been like a month since I've read this, so I'm trying to remember what it was actually about. But yeah, she's made to be a companion for Victor, and his temper is horrible, but she has to quell that. She has to help him, and she's the only one that can help him. And then something threatens that, and the creepiest part about this book to me was the flashback. That was creepy because Victor was a creepy ass little kid with animal things. That was gross. But other than that, it was kind of boring, and it kind of makes me sad. So, yeah. Okay. So the next book that I listened to was the 7th book in the Veronica Speedwell series, which is The Impossible Imposter by Deanna Raybourn. And, okay, listen. I know you've probably heard about this book before, this series before, but I'm just here to tell you, if you haven't read it, if you haven't listened to it, I don't care how you consume this series, just get it into your eyeballs or your earballs. I don't care. Listen, read this book, okay? Please. It's so good. Like, mystery, romance. Oh, it's great. I hate history. I would have never picked this series up, but I listened to people rave about it way too many times. So I did. I bit the bullet. I picked it up, downloaded it from my library, and I'm now waiting for the 8th book to come out because I flew through this whole series in like 2 months. It's great, okay? That's all I'll say. I'll rave about it less. But this one was about Veronica and Stoker, as they usually do, get pulled into a mystery solving something. And this one was an heir of a wealthy family has came back. He was supposedly missing. They thought he was dead for years. And all of a sudden he just came back. So Veronica and Stoker have been hired to see, is this man really their heir, or is this an imposter? And well, it turns out Veronica knows this man pretty well, it seems. So, yeah, things happen. Lots of stuff goes down. And I won't lie, the end of this book kind of made me angry at Stoker. Yeah, but I have faith that the next book that comes out is going to make me happy again. Everything will be okay. So, yeah. Great, amazing. I cannot wait for book 8 to come out. Please read this series. Okay. The next book that I read was Camp Slaughter. And this was the very first slasher I've read. So I know people who have read a lot of slashers, this is probably nothing. But to me, I was terrified. And maybe it's because, so this book is about, really we're following a group of teenagers and 2 podcasters who are going out to this remote cabin in the woods. And essentially it's like an old rundown camp, summer camp. And they have renamed it Camp Slaughter because so many people have gone missing and murdered out there. And these podcasters are going out because of the murders and everything, but these group of teens are going to this cabin just for the weekend. So we get to see their journey and everything, but we also get to see a lot of other people at this cabin and in the woods in general before they all come, and the things that happen, and you get into the murderer who's actually doing this stuff and his backstory, and that's all fucked up. And this book was wild. It made me think a lot because we go camping all the time. If it's the summer, if it's nice out, we're probably in the woods. And we don't do campsites. We do in the middle of nowhere, Forest Service roads, no one is around us. So, yeah, this thoroughly freaked me out, which was really fun, and that's why I really loved it. So, the next book that I listened to was actually on my TBR, I think, for last month, my tarot TBR, so yay for that. And that was Recursion by Blake Crouch, and this is the first really sci-fi book I've read. I don't really like sci-fi movies, unless like Marvel is counted as sci-fi. That's more fantasy though, right? Look, genres, I don't know clearly. But anyways, this is about a disease called the false memory syndrome, and this lady who has built a machine that kind of helps, and it's really about the inventor of this machine and this guy who are trying to protect this machine from not getting into the wrong hands, pretty much. And I really enjoyed it. It was really interesting. That's all I have to say about that one. Next, I listened to The Witch's Heart, and I really loved this book too. As you can see, going on from here, I'm going to say that about every single one of these books. I really loved this book. I know nothing about Norse mythology. Don't know anything about mythology in general. But I downloaded it because I read The Ravens, got really into witches, and now I need to read everything with witches in it. So I saw The Witch's Heart, assumed, it's going to be about witches. And then it was about Norse mythology, and that was really interesting. It had Loki and Odin and Thor and Jotunheim and all of that, which was really cool to read about. In my mind, I know, this has nothing to do with Marvel, but because these characters, I'm obsessed with Marvel. So in my mind, I was like, yeah, this is what they do on their downtime from Avengers. I know, it's stupid, but you know what? Let me live, okay? Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed this book. It was about Loki and this witch called, I can't remember, Hungrabota. Hungrabota. And it was about Loki and Hungerboda and their relationship. And I mean, really, this book had everything in it too. It was sapphic, heartbreak, backstabbing, romance. Like, it had everything in it, and it was really good. I really liked it. It was about, yeah, them and their children and the children that they had, and the people that Hungerboda met along the way, because she used to be this other bad witch and she's trying to outrun her past. She's just trying to live in her little cottage and not mess with anybody and do her own little thing. And yeah, a great book. So the next book was also another book that I read for Spring Flingoween, and that was Local Woman Missing. And another one, yep, really enjoyed. There you go. Take a shot every time I say really loved, really enjoyed this book. This was about a couple women who went missing and one of their daughters. And really, it's about the search for the daughter who went missing and who did it. And it's a small neighborhood. They all know each other, and somebody knows what happens. And yeah, it's really just trying to figure out what happened to these women and who would have done this and why they did it. So was it somebody close to them? Was it somebody completely random that just chose these people to abduct? And yeah, so it was really good. So the next book I listened to was the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. And another 5-star, another great book. Loved this book. Made me angry, rightfully so. That's what it was supposed to do. I wanted to kill these husbands. I wanted Patricia to just stand up for herself, girl. So it's about these women who are in this really boring book club, and all of a sudden they were like, you know what, we're done. We're done reading these stupid freaking books that we don't want to read. We're going to read true crime. So they start reading Anne Rule and, like, you know, all of the big true crime books. And this guy comes into town, and he's weird. And only one of these women is like, he's really suspicious. Like, why are y'all trusting him so much? And he like gets his talons into them, and they all make poor Patricia, think she's crazy, and she's not. This book made me so angry. I hated Patricia's husband, and look, read this book. It's great. The ending, great. Okay, great. Okay, the next book I read was another one while we were out camping, and that is A Fresh Brewed Murder. And this was just a really cute book. I've never heard anybody talk about this one, but I just saw it when we were in a little bookstore, and it just, I mean, look at the cover. It's really cute. And it's set in Oregon, in Portland. So, obviously, I was invested. So, this is about Sage, who is just opening her first coffee truck in this little Portland food truck kind of compound. And her partner are just getting into the compound, finding new people, you know, making new friends and stuff. And one morning she walks into there to open the truck, and she stumbles across a dead body. And of course, immediately she gets thrown into the investigation, because apparently she knows this man. Or did she? Yeah. So, really good book, really cute. Portland, coffee. I mean, look, if you don't like coffee, probably don't read this, because it's a lot of coffee talk. I mean, she runs a coffee truck, but I really enjoyed it. I just thought it was a really cute, cozy mystery. It didn't scare me while we were camping, so, you know, that's always a plus in my book. The next book that I listened to was All Her Little Secrets. And this is about a lawyer, a corporate lawyer, who was having an affair with her boss. And one morning she walks in and finds him dead. And instead of calling anyone, instead of saying anything, she leaves. And I mean, probably same, because if you were having an affair with somebody and you just stumbled across them dead, you are probably number one suspect in any cop's book, any cop's brain, anybody's brain, really. You were the mistress, you had motive. So I can get that. But anyways, so yeah, she leaves, and I don't know, there's so many good discussions in this book, honestly. I mean, discussions about protecting family when maybe you shouldn't. Is that right? You know, protecting family at all costs. Affairs, that whole deal, dealing with that. Racial discussions. She's the only black woman. She's the only really person of color at all in this office. There may be a janitor, but you know, they only really hired her because she was a black woman, because there's a protest outside of this lawyer's office because they don't hire black people. So yeah, there's so many good discussions in this book. I really enjoyed it. And also, I guess something that I learned is a really unpopular opinion. I really enjoy reading from lawyers or detectives' perspectives. And I don't know why. I don't know if that stems from when I was younger, I really wanted to be a CSI agent or a detective. Like, I don't know. I just always wanted to be like a crime scene investigator. I just think that sounds so interesting. Like, being in the middle of an investigation, like something like that, I feel like it would just be so rewarding. Like, I don't know. I've always been fascinated with lawyers and detectives and that kind of thing. So maybe that's why. I just always think it's really interesting. So yeah, 5 stars for me. I really, really enjoyed this. And then the last book. Whoa. The last book. Candles. I'm going to knock it over with my hair. By the way, sorry for the appearance today. It's a day. Anyways, this last book, wow, best book. Sex Cult Nun, holy shit. This book, one, it took me a while to read because I myself have a lot of religious trauma. Yeah. So some of these things really hit a little too close to home for me. So I had to just stop altogether. But this is a true story of a woman who was grew up in the Church of God cult. And wow, the shit that she experienced and went through and had to do, and the shit that they thought was okay, and the parallels. The parallels of Church of God to Southern Baptists is also a little scary. Like I said, this book, honestly, 10 out of 5 stars. This book, I just feel like it's so necessary. Not even for people who have experienced religious shit in their lives. For people who have no idea about religions and cults and things like that. Because let me say this, I feel like Church of God, the Davidians, Mormons, Amish, Southern Baptists, those are cults. There is a big, big difference, in my opinion, to me, between the whole of Christianity and those groups. Because those groups are very, very bad, very toxic, very awful to be in, as somebody who was in one, Southern Baptist. There's just, I feel like the way that these groups hold themselves and conduct themselves is very different from just Christianity. Or I don't know how to explain it. I feel like if you have been in it, if you've been exposed to it, I hope you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I just feel like you should read this. It was great. It was hard to read. It was a lot. It was child abuse. It was sexual abuse. It was rape. It was, don't read it if you don't like that shit, if that really gets to you, but honestly, I think it kind of helped me. One, to realize there is shit worse than what I went through, and way worse shit that I'm fortunate to have not gone through. But then other stuff that it's like, wow, other people that happened to, and it wasn't just in my church. Anyways, I'm getting way into that topic, which is not something that I want to do. Anyways, so yeah, read that book. Read that book. So yeah, that is all the books that I read in the month of April. I really hope that you enjoyed this mess of a video. I feel like, not just an appearance, but I feel like I couldn't get words out this video. So I hope that you found something in this. And if you did, please like and subscribe. I would be very, very, very thankful. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day or night or whatever time it is that you're watching. Bye.